Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon so you're made aware of any time I put new content on. Videos going up daily, but particularly in the off season, you want to keep your West Ham fix going. So we'll probably have 2-3 times a day. So make sure you hit that icon so you don't miss any of the great stories, any great guests we get coming on. Loads of great fans, players, also those type of things. Today's guest, lifelong fan, you might recognise his voice as well, is Ben Mundy. Hi, Ben. How you doing, man?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you very much. How is this weird world we live in for you at the moment?
It's all right. You know what? Actually, I've been going to from the very start, so I've had a real kind of normality when everyone else around me has had the weird stuff going on. So it actually feels like not much has changed. The roads got a bit quieter for a brief period of time getting into work, but yeah, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Well, and also it's weird, isn't it? Because we had like no football for ages, and then we had this sort of deluge, and then that's it. Nothing, no football now, no decent
Russ, at
football.
any point, did you feel like there was too much football?
Yes,
Oh no, I thought you was going to say
yeah,
I was okay with it. There was one Sunday where there was four games back to back, which by the fourth one I was like, maybe I should switch this off. But I've really enjoyed seeing it, and I've also really enjoyed seeing it with no crowd effects and hearing the kind of managers and the players shouting. It's a real insight that I guess we would never normally have
no.
seen.
Are you? So you're definitely a crowd off person rather than a crowd on person.
100%. Yeah, it's like playing FIFA on the
Yeah,
PlayStation otherwise. So yeah, crowd off. Let me hear the players shouting and rolling around and being told off for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, it's definitely crowd off for me.
yeah, I know. I know what you mean. It is weird, but I mean, I think it was. I mean, sometimes I'd forget there was like two games on, so I'd be look at my phone and I've missed two games already. It's like, when did they happen? It's like but it's just like it's bizarre. And I don't know what's going to happen, like the scheduling when we get back. Hopefully, a little bit less relaxed, more relaxed. So it's not like four games, back to back 4 games.
Yeah.
Even for the dedicated football fan, it might be a bit too much. But yeah, no, it's been weird, but it's finished, and obviously we're still in the Premier League, which is good. Couldn't relegated Villa, which I'm disappointed about. It was sort of the best
I
of the. Go on.
Yeah, it was a real close one, wasn't it? And kind of it's a shame that we've had to stop because obviously we're in a bit of form
Yeah.
now, and the shorter that break is, the better for us because we were playing some good stuff towards the end.
Exactly. I think Moyes has given them 3 weeks off, and then it's back to it. And yeah, no, I think that's right. It is frustrating. It's always the way, though, isn't it? We always do have we always tend to perform towards the end of the season better, and that's it. Then we're off on the beach, literally, until yeah, August or whatever. But yeah, I think to be fair, I mean, I haven't done the stats yet, but I'd like to look at form since restart began, because I think we must be up there really in terms of what we were doing,
Definitely.
particularly in the last few games. But no, it's Moisey got the job done again. Did it
Yeah,
last time, did it this time, and I'm looking forward to next season. I'm quite excited, really. Probably got no money, but it doesn't matter. I'm quite excited. I think.
there it is, the West Ham hope.
Yeah, it is.
let
They,
me
they reel
let
they reel you in and they drag you back.
let's talk again in October.
Yeah, exactly. Having lost, 5-0 to, I don't know, Man United, and West Brom probably turned us over, and all these ones, and then we'll start again, and then the merry-go-round begins again. But that's what being a West Ham fan's all about, but isn't it really? As you well know. So Ben, why is the first question I always ask everyone is why is West Ham your club? I can see the screen behind you, with the old badge though. There we go. Not the new one, or the
You've
125th.
got the old badge on the shirt.
Yeah,
There we go.
there we go.
Why West Ham? I have my dad to blame, I'm afraid. We don't come from a West Ham family. My dad's parents supported Portsmouth and Charlton, but my dad got swayed towards West Ham by his uncle, I think. And then when I was a young kid, obviously taken to Upton Park, and uh, I'd be very surprised if someone supports a different team from the first couple of live
Yeah,
games they went to see, because you kind of just get sucked in once you're there and you see the atmosphere and you feel the atmosphere. There was only one club for me, and then I guess I was too young to realise that there were more downs than ups. with West Ham, but by the time I got to the stage of realising that was the case, it was too late. You can't change your team, can you?
You can't. You really can't. You're too late. And I totally agree. You know, I think once you've seen that first game and the atmosphere, and you are hooked. And yeah, I don't think that happens. You know, anywhere else. You know, it seems that way with West Ham, particularly, and obviously, you know, going forward from obviously your first games at West Ham. You know, the atmosphere. It's the family. It's to go with your dad, and you know, all that sort of togetherness. You know, as you said, you've got season tickets. We said before we started, you've got season tickets which you share amongst your family, and it's all the community of West Ham, isn't it? It's that West Ham family.
Yeah, and I think that game, it was early 90s, the first game I went to, Upton Park, night game, I think against Coventry City, and just the atmosphere, just to walk up to the stadium.
Yeah.
I guess that's the one thing we don't really get now with the London Stadium, but the walk up to the stadium, the tight streets, the burger vans, programme sellers, and then just kind of walking into Upton Park and up to our seats, and just this sight that I'd never seen or heard before. And it was just, it will stay with me forever, really, that Upton Park, that first visit to Upton Park.
Yeah, it's the smell that I always got. It was that smell, that burger van smell, which you just can't recreate in Westfield, can you? It's like you just can't get it. It's like that mystery meat that's been fried somehow. I used to love it. There was the two burger vans by the supporters club, and they were either side of a very small road. And I'm thinking, they're not really well placed, really. Do you know what I mean? It's like this weird turf war of burger vans. But it's, as you said, once you're in, you're hooked, and it is about the. I mean, we're not in it for the football, Ben. Clearly we backed the wrong horse if that was the job. But it is about the atmosphere, it is about the community, and I think that's what people miss. I think that's what's been really evident since restart is how much the fans adds to a football game. Because, like, even talking to the ex-players when I'm asking them, you know, how would they react, and a lot of them it's quite tough. You know, if you're not feeling up, you've got a bit of a cold or whatever, having that extra 10-20% which the fans give you makes a huge difference. And I think that was self-evident in the beginning of restart, and then people have sort of got a bit used to it. But and when you interview fans and stuff at the moment, you know, it's all about the togetherness. It's all about, you know, they have Zoom watch-along parties and stuff like that, and obviously interacting on Facebook and Twitter. And I know we're biased to it all, but I think West Ham definitely have better fan bases than many other clubs. I can't see, you know, my friends who are Tottenham fans or Arsenal fans having that sense of togetherness that being a West Ham fan brings. And you probably know more than anyone, to be honest, doing all the stuff you do.
It's been weird watching the games in this situation with the kind of WhatsApp and the messages going off from the group of friends that we normally go to the stadium with. It's just a whole different way of watching football. Yeah. But yeah, there is something unique about supporting West Ham.
Yeah, you have to have it on different devices, don't you? So it's like if I have it on my phone, as you said, the texts keep on popping up, and it'll be Martin or someone like that, or Chris will be messaging. Yeah, I'm trying. I've got to go back into it because obviously, you know, I'm a cheapskate, so I'll be finding a stream, and then you have to go back and start pressing all the pop-ups again. It's a bit of annoyance, but hey ho. So obviously, since you started supporting the club, obviously, sort of mid-90s onwards properly, there must be some key moments or some highlights that sort of, as you said, that first time you sort of stays in your heart, and you can think of that and close your eyes and you can think of where you are again. There must be some other stuff that sticks in your mind, maybe games or moments, which maybe other people might not remember. Or...
I think everyone will remember this moment, but I think it was significant because up until that point, West Ham had kind of not really ever been the cool club to support or done anything amazing. My group of friends all supported other football clubs. And it was obviously the Di Canio moment in the FA Cup where he kind of Barthez stood there with his arm up. And I just remember that week going into school afterwards, and it was just like, oh yeah, everyone's talking about West Ham for the right reasons for once, and so that is a moment that will stick out. And then the playoff success. I remember being in a pub watching that, and you know, there's not too many times in a pub watching West Ham where you get to go crazy, and that was another opportunity. So yeah, it's just there are small moments that stick out because of the victory and what it then means.
Yeah, no, exactly. Even things like for me, the Euros that Payet was playing in, because that was the first time that we had a player who was like not just in the squad, but he was like the best player, and he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and obviously he buggered off after 6 months, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But for that time in that pub, everyone, yeah, had your West Ham shirt on, and people go, "Hey,
Yeah.
Payet, yeah." I signed him. I did all the hard work, but no, it's good fun. As you said, it's just these moments, it's these goals, and also doing the stuff you do as well. As you're privy to a lot more moments than other people as well. Things happen, and obviously, for those of you might have seen Ben on the pitch doing the halftime stuff recently last season, which was fun with old kicking with Kissimmee, which I was always that's what I miss from it, I think.
One of the most difficult challenges. Oh yeah, I mean what an opportunity that is, just to experience a part of the stadium and the club in a way that I never thought, as that kid going to Upton Park in the mid-90s, that I would ever get to experience. And I've been lucky enough to meet some of the players that I used to watch back then. My 11 was going to be players that I've met off the pitch, but I couldn't quite get there. But a few of them, yeah. So when you meet the likes of Tony Cottee or Ludo Mikosko, just I'm in awe. It's just crazy. I'm just that little kid who used to watch them play. Yeah,
it is really weird, isn't it? It's just so strange, and also because they're all just like really nice blokes. I mean, you're very similar eras to me, Ben. And it's like meeting like I don't know. Martin Allen and John Moncur and Peter Butler, and they're really nice blokes. You sit there, and I'm a bit like worried when I'm going to interview them, and particularly of Martin Allen, because you don't know which Martin Allen's going to turn up. But luckily, it was in the morning, so it was all right. And they're just lovely guys, and that whole era, and even before that, with the Phil Parkses and people like that. They're just normal blokes, and it always takes me by surprise when I get off the phone to them. And you're thinking, I've just spoken to, name drop, Frank McAvenny. But he's just like, he talks to you like he's your mate. And, and Peter Butler texts me like randomly now. It's so weird. It's just like, it's such a bizarre world. And something I haven't been privy to for many, many years. Now to be sort of in this sort of little bubble, it's very, very strange. And I know exactly what you mean with like when you meet like Ludo and stuff like that. You're just back to being that little kid again at Upton Park, watching him be mesmeric against Man United and stuff like that. And it's so cool.
I'm not sure whether they know the impact they have on you when you're in that kind of one-on-one conversation, but certainly, it's moments that I will never forget, and I guess the same for you.
Yeah, it's so true. I think because they probably do it so often and talk to so many, but they don't realise. Yeah, afterwards I was like, oh my god, texting all my mates.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like I took a screenshot of like the Zoom call, and I'm like, that's me and Shaka Hislop. It's like, whoa,
exactly.
Shaka Hislop, man. Right. Anyway, let's move on to this 11 because, as you said, I think it'd be quite good. The only caveat really I put on people is they have to be alive to have seen them play. That's it, really. Anything else, free reign, whatever you want to do. So we'll start off in goal. I could probably guess your goalie based on what we spoke about, but we'll go for that, and then we'll go through the rest of the team. So who's in goal for the Mundy 11 then?
It's got to be Ludo. I actually had... I didn't have the outfield kit as a kid. I had the goalkeeper kit that he wore. I was a very strange child, Russ. Got the full goalkeeper kit as a, 6-7-year-old. Goalkeeper gloves, went down the park. My brother belted the ball at me. So it has to be Ludo. Although we've been blessed with some great goalkeepers, haven't we?
It's the one area we haven't, apart from 6 months last season, which we before David Martin came in, which we haven't been short of. We've always had a good keeper, I think, and it's as you said, you can reel them off. It was Phil Parks beforehand, David James, Robert Green, Shaka. You had Fabianski now. Joe Hart. You had like some good goalkeepers, and it's an area which we always do well in. And I just hope we've got the next. We've got Nathan Trott, who's just come back from a good loan spell at AFC Wimbledon. So it's an area which we don't, although when Fabianski got injured, I think I underestimated the importance of a goalkeeper on a team because obviously Roberto came in and cost Pellegrini his job, really.
Yeah.
It's incredible the difference it makes, the confidence that the rest of the team need. When he was back in, he was brilliant. But yeah, Ludo, old Loopy Ludo, as my granddad used to call him, we'll put him in.
And I was fortunate enough to meet him. I think it was the last game before lockdown at Southampton at home, was it? And I met Ludo and interviewed him before the game. And what a legend! Even before the interview, was in my 11, but after the interview, definitely in.
Yeah, no, I know. We're trying to get him on the channel. Bless him. He keeps messaging me to say, I'm not very, because his English isn't great. It's never been great. But I think I'm trying to convince him that people don't give a shit about what he says. The fact is, he's there, and as long as he can say the 11 players that he would pick, I think that's all that people matter. Okay, Ludo's in goal. Ben, you go through the team as you want to, man, in what positions you want to go to.
Okay, let's start left back. Because, legend. Julian Dix, straight in there at left back, no question about him. I was obsessed with him as a kid, and the way he used to take penalties. He's no-nonsense tackling. I'm right-footed, so couldn't play his position, but played. I think he made me want to be a defender, so when I was a kid and kind of a little bit younger, played as a centre-back. So, Julian Dix in at left back. I was looking at his penalty stats, and I think it's 35 out of 39 for West Ham. I've had a look at that, and I met him. So here's another one. This is the second one I've met. I met him a few years back at an after dinner thing, and just so down to earth. And he totally didn't understand why I was obsessed and kind of why he was one of my favourite West Ham players. But great to chat to him.
Yeah, and obviously he'll be back at the London Stadium with Slav next year. So. Good luck to him. Yeah. Julian. Yeah, you're right, Julian. And I've said it before. The fullback positions aren't the most glamorous in football. When you grow up, you don't want to be a left back. You want to be a winger or a striker or midfield dynamo. But he made that position cool for West Ham fans. He would do one of his tackles or a 30-yard pinger into the top corner, and just turn around with his ripped collar. And be like, come on, and everyone would be like, yeah, Julian. He could just galvanise a team from left back, which is a real sort of skill, definitely.
And I've heard this said many times about certain players that end up at West Ham, and that fans at West Ham, all they really want is someone who tries, runs around, and puts a tackle in. And he epitomised the kind of tackle that would get the fans on your side. And new players at West Ham should be shown a catalogue of Julian Dix tackles and be told that tackles like that will win the fans over instantly.
And that's all you have to do. You're right. Just put it about a bit, put a tackle in occasionally. It's a bit naughty, and everyone loves you.
Exactly.
And it's true. And I think also he was relatable. As a footballer, as you said, you met him, and he's just a down to earth guy. He's the type of person I could walk into a pub and he would be at the bar. Well, obviously before social distancing, but before he had to book a table in advance for 2 hours. But you know what I mean? He's just like he had that sort of thing in his persona that you're thinking, I could have been like Julian Dix, because he sort of, the stories are true. He would have like a can of Coke and a Mars bar, and then he'd go and play football, and that's what we would do on a Sunday. And he had, he wasn't like a Adama Traore, physique, he wasn't like, or Michael Antonio. He was just like a regular looking bloke, and but just had this amazing talent. And I think that's why people took to him, because he was relatable, and you could see the heart was on his sleeve. But all right, I'll put Julian in. You carry on, Ben. Who are you going to talk about next, man?
So I'll go my two centre backs. I'll go with Rio Ferdinand first up. Just a different type of defender, wasn't he? I think we obviously didn't get the best years of him. He went on and furthered his career at Leeds and Manchester United. But to have that exciting prospect at West Ham that everyone was talking about, and then kind of seeing his potential develop in front of your own eyes was something else. I'll never forget when he made his England debut. I think he was 17. He came off the bench, and it was. And again, you talk about kind of that Payet moment in the Euros, that for me, Rio Ferdinand coming on for his England debut at such a young age, kind of unheard of for a West Ham player in the era that I was growing up watching them. So yeah, Rio Ferdinand straight in there.
Definitely. Yeah, no, totally agree. Rolls Royce Rio is in. Who's going to be the other centre back then, Bim?
So Rio, I've also met. I've interviewed. Great interviewee. And then next to him, Alvin Martin. Keeping the theme of people that I've met. So I will never forget this. And you mentioned a couple of burger vans outside Upton Park at the start of this, and it must have been one of my first few games at Upton Park, and this Range Rover pulling up, and everyone's stopping because you know what the streets were like around Upton Park, full of people. Before kickoff. The Range Rover just parked middle of the road. Alvin Martin's got into the shop. I don't think it was for a Mars bar and a can of Coke. I think it was for a newspaper. But yeah, and I was just like, oh my God, there's Alvin Martin, like that close to me. Yeah, and then what a classy player. And I guess the time I was watching West Ham back then, it was kind of towards the end of his West Ham career, but I would love to have seen Alvin Martin and Rio Ferdinand play together.
Oh yeah, exactly.
For a long period of time.
And it's true. It's so funny because his grandkid goes to the same school as my daughter in the same year, and I still get that when he picks his grandson up from school, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just like a granddad. But I'm sitting there like, it's Alvin Martin, and then my daughter's like, what's up, Daddy? I went, see that guy there? What? Well, I won't say it, but his granddad. I won't say the kid's name. And I went, yeah, that's Alvin Martin. He goes, who's Alvin Martin? Okay, right.
Yeah.
Open up YouTube. This is but it's true. And he's just, and obviously when Billy had the stand dedicated to him, Alvin did the PA, didn't he? And great guy. Yeah. Great guy. We're getting him on soon.
Oh, good.
Oh, yes. God. Hopefully. So yeah, again, it's another one because that's a great thing now. Closed season now. All the ex-pros who are doing all the commentary, they're a bit more freed up now. So hopefully we get Alvin on. So we've had Tony, we've had Gailey, we've had Reg. Because again, these when you talk about the ex-footballers, they talk about each other with their sort of their nicknames, and there's not like a book. It's not like an exciting. So he was saying. So when Tony goes, oh yeah, we'll put Stretch and and Robot and Machine. I was like, what? So now I know.
Who are you talking about?
Who the hell are you talking about, Tony? But
you can ask Alvin Martin whether it was just a newspaper that he was getting from the shop, or whether he was picking up Julian's Mars bar and can of Coke as well.
Can of Coke, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised doing the rounds. God bless him. Right, okay. Alvin is in. Who is going to be next then, Bim?
I'll go right back with Steve Potts.
Steve Potts.
I know you're a big fan. I've been watching these, and I know you're a big fan of him. All I really remember about Steve Potts is just Mr. Reliable, and kind of very similar to Julian Dix in terms of wearing the badge on his sleeve and giving his all. More than 500 appearances for the club. Just Mr. Reliable. I'm bowing to you though. You give me a bit more knowledge about Steve Potts. What have I missed?
No, I think Steve Potts is brilliant. No, I agree. I think he was. As I said, me and my best mate, we set up the Steve Potts Appreciation Society when we were kids. Only 2 members. Although I think we actually wrote to the club and mentioned the fact that we were. I went through a spate of writing to the club with ideas like ball boys because I wanted to be a ball boy because they didn't have ball boys at Upton Park for many, and I was like, but we should do. And Steve Potts, he was brilliant. And again, he's under 23s. Under 23 coach, lovely guy. I think he was one of those players who, when you talk to his teammates, they rate him more than I think we do. Because he wasn't, he's 5'8" or whatever, but he was. In essence, his best games were at centre back, which makes no sense because he is too small for a centre back. But he just read the game very well. But I love Steve Potts. I can't say much about him because he's just. You're right. He is like, for our era, Ben particularly, we never were around to see, the Brookings, the Bonzes, who are Mr. West Hams. And for us, Steve Potts, Mark Noble, there are Mr. West Hams, and I'm glad that they're involved that Steve's still involved in the club. I hope obviously Mark will be when he retires, and it just gives some sort of continuity, which I think we've lacked in the last few years. Obviously, Pellegrini came in and brought all his brothers and cousins in, and then left with the cupboards bare for poor Moisey. But there is definitely a move to this more boot room type approach with our coaching staff, and I hope that continues, because there's so many good managers around. You've got to think Scott Parker and people like Joe Cole, who's going to be a great coach. He's fantastically when he talks on BT and stuff like that. And anyway, we get detracted as always, but Steve Potts, yes.
You opened it up there for me to talk about Sir Trevor, because I can't obviously put him in my 11 because I've not seen him play. But I was really fortunate enough to cover the last World Cup in Russia, which was a whole experience. But Sir Trev joined the kind of commentary team for the final and maybe the semi-final. But I'll never forget kind of meeting him in the hotel that we were staying in Russia. And we ended up watching England's third place game together. And just, again, what an experience, talking to him about West Ham and kind of his experiences of playing and being around the club at West Ham, and then his take on that current England team as well. So, you name dropped to Trevor, so I've just briefly...
Go for it. No, go for it. Ben. And also, I mean, it must be weird, because I've spoken to people also who have watched football with ex-professionals, and they say, I watch the game totally differently to how they watch it. And it's just bizarre, isn't it? It's the same game, but they take a different stance on it. And obviously, Sir Trevor. I've got his phone number, but it's a landline. Do you know what I mean? It's like I find a bit funny phoning up someone. Hello, hi. Do you want to come and do this? What? Okay, but one day, who knows? But anyway,
I didn't know whether to call him Trevor or Sir Trevor, and then when you're meeting in that situation in a bar in a hotel in Moscow. So I started with Sir Trev, and then moved to Trevor.
And obviously Ludo was there as well, because he comes through near Moscow. So
obviously,
yes. Say some of our fans really take geography lessons, don't they? But he used to introduce himself like that as well sometimes. Yes. I remember, hi, I'm Ludo. I don't come from near Moscow, and it was like, I loved that man. I think it was brilliant. Okay, let's go into midfield then, Ben. Who we go over midfield?
What a tough one. I mean, where do you start? I've had several rewrites of the midfield. We'll start right wing. Yeah, go for it. And I'll go there with another Trevor, but Trevor Sinclair this time. I guess without him, the Di Canio volley would never have been a thing. So he probably gets in there just for that. He'll also get in there for this story that from the World Cup that he went to with England, when we beat Argentina, him getting on the wrong team bus after the game, I think is a hilarious story. So he got on the Argentina coach by mistake, walked all the way down, kind of gloated a bit, then got off and got back onto the proper coach. Just what a great player. Yeah. Great technique, didn't he? Had really great technique with his crossing and with his shooting. Very good.
Never scored a simple goal. I can't remember him scoring a tap in from 2 yards. It was always something with Trev. No, he was brilliant. I love tricky Trev. And some of these, I mean, obviously, now people have had a lot of opportunities to watch old footage and old highlights. And Robert Banks is serialising all the end of season review videos, which is quite fun on YouTube until they get taken down. He puts them back up again. Trev was. He was like. He was, because obviously from when we signed him, it was a typical Harry signing. I think it was Roland and Dowie and £1 million or something like that for him, which is absolute bargain. And he was obviously on the downward spiral, because obviously he'd done at QPR, he had these dreadlocks and he was doing the bicycle kicks and he was like hot stuff, and he was going down. He came back to us and his career just went back up again. He says he got into the World Cup squad and then went to Man City and stuff like that. And he still speaks really highly of West Ham as well. So that's what I like about players who do that.
I've been watching his volley against Charlton from a Boxing Day on repeat. I stumbled across that on YouTube and just the technique, something else. Yeah.
Brilliant. Great player. All right, Tricky Trev is in. Who is next?
Right, centre midfield. Let's get it over and done with. Mark Noble in there. You can't play more than 500 games for West Ham and not get in my 11. He's just Mr. West Ham. We talked about Julian Dix, kind of putting those tackles in, putting himself about, and that is exactly what Mark Noble does. Yeah. It looks like, I don't know about how you feel about this, Russ, but it looks like towards the last few games since lockdown, seems to have found a position that works to get him in the team, Declan Rice, and obviously Souček as well. But I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. He is Mr. West Ham. And he's been there a long time through some really dark periods. He deserves everything he gets, really, Mark Noble.
You're right. And I don't think I realised how long he's been at the club. I mean, when Rob Pritchard did that, they put that sort of YouTube video up of him, sort of retrospective Mark from his 500 games, and you realise some of the things he's been through, and some of the dark times. And he's just brilliant, isn't he? I mean, there's nothing to describe. And you're right, playing that sort of weird sort of number 10 role, kind of. It's I don't really know the right position for it. It's a bit weird. It's because he sort of seems to be pushing up quite a bit, and you're right with someone like Souček and Rice in as sort of doing the more donkey box to box type work. He's flourished, and you can just see that. Obviously, he knows that next season he's going to play less games. I mean, there's the Souček Rice combination plus one other. If they need it a bit more steel, Mark goes in. If they need a bit more flair, then they put a flair player in. So it does work itself out quite nicely. But I just think he's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I've been privy to see. Obviously, when he's not in the squad, he sits where the sort of disabled fans sit, in terms of that's where they put all the not the microphone. That's where they put all the off squad members who aren't in the team. They get dotted around there, and he kicks every ball when he's sitting there. And that, I mean, obviously the Chelsea game particularly, the kid, he looked like he was like 15 years old. The way he was like supporting the team, it was brilliant. And as soon as
I think you can't underestimate his what the work he does off the pitch. I mean, lots of people talk about his work in the community, but I also mean kind of around the training ground. And so, yes, he will inevitably play less games as we move forward, but so important for the kind of link between Moyes and the players. And let's hope that West Ham can keep hold of him as a coach, and then obviously one day, hopefully, a manager. Because he deserves a shot at it, doesn't he?
You're right, and it's similar, and I can see obviously the influence of someone like Kevin Nolan on him as well, because it was similar to the relationship between Big Sam and Kevin in terms of the manager and player, and he clearly has a very good relationship with Moyes, you can tell, and because he has a good relationship with Moyes, people like Declan Rice is a good relationship. And obviously when Declan scored that goal, that fantastic goal at Watford, the first person he hugged was David Moyes, none of the teammates. And I think that's really showed how much the players respect him as a manager. And that's really good, because I think then that sort of permeates fans' perspective on managers as well. The players are backing him. And Mark is that just Mr. West. And you said some of the community work, I've been very privy to talking to some of the guys at New Food Banks the other day. We're going to be doing something on the channel to help them out, and Mark does loads for them, and it doesn't get documented, doesn't get published, and a lot of the other players do as well, and it's lovely to hear that they do. But sometimes you wish that they would talk about it a bit more, so people would, because there's been a perception of football players as being a bit greedy and money grabbing, but they do so much, and even sort of the owners and stuff as well. They do a lot, and it might start changing people's attitudes towards people. Then there'd be something else to criticise out, so it doesn't really matter. So.
He's the one person, like I've not been fortunate enough to meet, but I would love to sit down and interview Mark Noble. He's the one there, and also obviously my team needs a captain, so he would definitely be my captain.
Naturally, yeah. All right, Nobes is in. Who is next, Ben?
So alongside him, let's go with Joe Cole. I'm a big fan of Joe Cole, as many West Ham fans are, I would imagine. Again, a bit like Rio, did we see the best of him? Probably not. His career was still developing, and he went on to, win trophies and things with Chelsea. But just the closest player I think England have ever had to Gaza, and I was a little bit too young to really appreciate Gaza when he played. So Joe Cole's the next best thing. What can I say about it? I will tell you this, actually. When I was younger and I played football, we were really lucky. So I grew up in Kent, and where we trained was where Gillingham's youth teams played all of their games, and West Ham's youth team played Gillingham's youth team with a Joe Cole and Michael Carrick there. So I was very fortunate to, as I don't know, however old I was, stand on the sidelines of this youth game and watch both of those play.
Wow.
And I think Sir Trevor Brooking might have been there as well, actually. I think he might have driven down to watch that game. But what a player. And I kind of also liked it when he came back the second time to West Ham. And I think I can't remember what game it was. He scored the goal, took his shot off and went crazy. And just showed passion for the club.
He does. And he's it's very similar to someone like Rio as well. Some players come and go, and they'll turn up they'll put another shirt on, like, I don't know, Chiarte or someone like that. And it's like, you don't forget they played for West Ham, but it's a distant memory. Someone like Joe or someone like Rio, you still think under that, I don't know, that Lille shirt or that Liverpool shirt or Chelsea shirt for Joe, that he had like a West Ham vest on underneath. Do you know what I mean? It was just closer to his heart. And obviously his dad's still the family's big West Ham fans, and he talks. And also, I love the way he talks. There was the assumption that obviously some players have got good football brains, and Joe, people assume he has a good football brain, but actually on his stuff at BT Sport, his analyst work, and he talks so well. And obviously, I think he was coach at Chelsea for the youth team, and he's leaving because he's going to go and do this sort of sabbatical, going around all these different, I don't know, coaching places and learning. And I think he'd be absolutely phenomenal coach. And he's just so. And you're right. Unfortunately, he did bookend his career with us, really. Beginning and end. But he was just mesmeric. And obviously, it seems like he played for us a lot longer than he did, because obviously we were talking about him from the age of 12. And totally, so it was a lot of pressure for the boy. But he was.
You're right. There was a lot of pressure, but he dealt with it really because he managed to see through that time at West Ham despite all of that pressure, get a move, go on and win trophies. Yeah, I think I've heard him talk about coaching before on the telly, and was just kind of jaw dropping, kind of the way he sees the game, what he wants to do, where he wants to go and work. You talk about the sabbatical there. I mean, if West Ham could ever get him involved in the club and coaching, it'd be, huge benefit for our team.
Definitely, absolutely. Even as you said, as like an advisor role, or like they do, they bring them on as sort of guest coaches, and he would have a huge impact on the youth teams particularly. Okay, right, I'll put Joe Cole in. So who is next then, Ben?
Right, so my left winger is controversial. Don't at me, okay, when I say this name. I will give an explanation as to why I'm putting him in. But I am going to go with Payet. Dimitri Payet. Mainly because of his role that he played within the team when we transitioned from Upton Park to the London Stadium. I think it would have been a lot trickier without him. He allowed us to watch some brilliant football for a season. The way he left the club, not great, but great player. You mentioned earlier his kind of role in that Euro 2016 as a West Ham player. He was. You can't deny that his time at West Ham, he was a brilliant footballer when he was on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. He was. it was. I mean, there's not many opportunities that you have a player who makes your mates who aren't West Ham fans jealous. And it's the only opportunity. Maybe Di Canio for a little bit, but it was. I remember, all my Tottenham fans and Arsenal and Man United. They all wanted Payet. They're all gutted when when they think might be playing Man United. They go, "Oh God, you got Payet this week." Yeah, we did, and also it's like having that. Like we had when we got a penalty, and we still do it now. A penalty, we pretty much know it's going to go in. Because unless someone's on a goal bonus and they give it to Antonio, which my heart was in my mouth, so is everyone else. But something like Julian, it'd be a penalty, and with a free kick, it was the same, wasn't it? 20 yards out, 25 yards, you're like 70% chance this is going in now. It's and we haven't had that before in my lifetime or afterwards in my lifetime, and it was an honour. It was an honour watching him, watching such a good player play.
I think it was kind of what we were saying with Julian Dix is as West Ham fans, you just want a moment of excitement or something to get you out of your seat. Yes, we would all love a trophy, but unfortunately we, for a number of years, have not been near those. So for us as fans inside the stadium, it's something to get us off our seats and applaud and kind of that excitement. And him staying over a free kick was something that allowed the West Ham fans to do that.
Yeah, it's true. And you're right. That's what a bit about being a West Ham fan is all about. I mean, it's those, as you said, we're never going to win the league, but it's those games, where we're going to turn up against Tottenham, and you've got like a good 3 or 4 days bragging rights with your mates afterwards, or Man United or Chelsea, and then we'll lose to Burnley, but we know that's going to happen. But that's just the West Ham. And you're right with Dimmy, it was like that every game, wasn't it? He was one of his little 360s on the ball, or I remember him coming off the bench when he was injured against. I think he came on as a sub against Everton, I think it was, and the fans were just 20 minutes beforehand singing that song, and he came on and did a little twizzle straight away, and it's just like phenomenal. But and he had the song obviously as well, and a good West Ham player has a song, and he did, and. He was brilliant. I absolutely loved him, and he was in my team as well. Because I just think what happened. You get that with those types of players. Arnautovic as well, and people they throw their toys out the pram and off they go. But that's what they do, and he came to us doing the same thing. And
exactly.
And Di Canio pushed over a referee. And that's how he came to us. That's my argument back. But anyway, we'll put Payet in. Let's go up. We go up front now, Ben.
Yeah. I'm playing 4-4-2, nice. And we'll continue with who you were talking about there. So Paolo Di Canio straight in. Yeah. I'd rather play with 10 men, I think, and just have Di Canio up top. Just everything we said about Joe Cole, you can kind of put for Di Canio. Everything you say about Julian Dix, you can probably put for Di Canio as well. I don't think there's been a player, correct me if I'm wrong, for West Ham that has kind of come in for, 3-4 seasons and had that impact on the football club. And yes, I saw your chat with Harry Redknapp, and obviously a huge gamble taking him in the first place, but what a gamble that paid off. And unbelievable. What a great player. There's a part of me that would like to have seen him back to manage West Ham. I know it probably would have been a disastrous spell, but you look at the impact that Duncan Ferguson had at Everton just for those few games and winning the fans over. And I feel like over the last few years, there's been a couple of times where maybe, Di Canio to win the fans over and kind of play, I don't know, who knows what kind of brand of football his team would play. But he's just a West Ham legend.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, he's just. It's like when managers manage England. You think, how can you manage the best play? There's not much you got to do. You've got the best players in your country. Just put them on the pitch, and they should be. And you almost got that feeling with Di Canio. It's just about motivation, and I think that's the same. These guys are Premiership football players. They get paid a lot of money to kick a ball about, and so you can't really coach someone to. You can improve fitness and stuff. But if they've got the skill, they've got the skill. It's all about the passion, I think, and the commitment and getting people up for it. And he would do that. There's no doubt he would do that. I almost see him. I mean, obviously he was at Swindon and Sunderland, and it didn't really work out. But you have a feeling. I mean, I can see it very similar to how when Slaven was our manager. He got so, when we lost, he was depressed. He got so, because he loved the club so much, and you saw that in his eyes when we lost, and the frustration. And I think sometimes that's what fans want. They don't want a manager, a Pellegrini, for example, no emotion. Win or lose, his face looks the same, basically. Where someone who seems like they care as a manager. And I think obviously he would do that. He would be a disaster, though. We know that would be. But it's I know what you mean about getting the fans on board, though. I think that would be...
I think you just want to see West Ham go 1-0 up against Spurs in the London Stadium, and Di Canio running down the touchline, celebrating with the players in his brilliant Italian suit. That's the image I have in my head. Obviously, that would be few and far between, probably. But there's a part of me that really would love to see that one day.
Yeah, they're sort of archetypal Italian, sort of like just passion. It's like it would be fun. It would be fun. I totally agree with that. But
what's your best Di Canio moment, Ross?
Oh, good question. My best Di Canio moment. I was actually watching about the other day. I was. It was the obviously the 5-4 game, and it wasn't actually a goal. It was just him on the pitch trying to be subbed off. Because that just epitomised Di Canio, because you knew what happened before and afterwards, and he was kicked all day that game, and that game itself epitomised that whole Redknapp era. It was crazy. It was my most enjoyable time as a West Ham fan, because the football was crazy. You had it was almost like a soap opera. It was like EastEnders. You had the Italians who came from, who was banned and now he's playing for. You had this sort of subplot of these young upstart English players coming through. You had your John Moncurs, you had people like Razor Ruddock and Ian Wright, you had random foreigners turning up who no one knew who they were, and I just loved it. And I saw Di Canio, that game just epitomised everything he did. Although someone pointed out to me ages ago, when the Arsenal game, when he sort of made arguably the top two Premier League centre backs at the time, and the top goalkeeper looked like they were playing preschool football. He did it with his shorts on backwards, because it was a superstition. He wanted to change it, but he was brilliant, man. I loved him.
There's a brilliant interview of Joe Cole, who talks about his first experience of Paolo Di Canio, and he talks about walking into the changing room at Upton Park and Paolo Di Canio sitting there talking to his left and right legs. So shorts on back to front. Doesn't seem too bad when you compare it to talking to your left and right leg.
I interviewed Bertie Brayley, who was Di Canio's boot boy, and obviously that story, come Christmas, all the pros would give a little Brucey bonus to the boot boys, and so Bertie was looking forward to this, and I think one of his mates had got £100 off someone, and so. He was like, Bertie, come here. And he went back to his car, opened up the boot, presented him with this pair of boots, which were 3 sizes too small for Bertie, and came with no laces either. And he's like, Merry Christmas. What the fuck is? But that was just Paolo. Other stories, interviewing the John Joe and Gary Herman, and they talk about they were invited to Swindon. Because obviously all the work they did John did for the Bobby Moore Foundation, Paolo wanted, they met up, and they were in his manager's office at Swindon, and Paolo opened up his desk, and it was full of West Ham memorabilia. So you know what I mean? It's like, he shouldn't be doing this, and they were going through all the pictures and stuff like that. And no, I love him. He was my favourite player of all time. Payet was technically the best player I've ever seen. But as you said, you needed a bit of Payet skill, Julian's commitment, John Moncur's craziness, and it just hodgepodge, and you put it into a mixing pot, and Paolo Di Canio comes out.
totally.
I mean, he's got a tattoo, a West Ham tattoo. You know, that to me is the ultimate. Particularly because I'm not allergic. I'm phobic to needles, so I get even that. I was like, wow, that's huge. I haven't even got a West Ham tattoo, and so that's why I think he's great. But all right, Paolo's in, and who's the last piece of this Mundy puzzle?
I struggled with this, and I'm toying with two names here, even now. It was a close call between Tony Cottee and Carlos Tevez, and I've gone with Tevez because sorry, Tony. Who I met, he's another one I met and interviewed at the London Stadium. I think actually he's returned to the London Stadium after his health scare last year, was it?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
stood next to him, kind of when the whole stadium applauded him. Was just a great moment. But I've gone with Carlos because of this moment. When the rumours were flying around that him and Mascherano might be coming to West Ham, I got a text from my dad, who is often second to all of these stories. I've heard it somewhere, I've read it somewhere, but then the message comes in from my dad. Sorry, Dad, saying that West Ham are signing Carlos Tevez, and I just thought it lost the plot. I was just like, that cannot be true. Yeah. And then that whole kind of drama unfolded. The goal he scored, the vital goals he scored. Just how did we end up with him? And thank goodness we did.
It's funny, I spoke to a couple of people about that, and a couple of ex-players actually. So I interviewed John Pansel, God bless him, and I asked him, I was like, what's it like, as a player? You turn up at Chadwell Heath one day, and these two Argentinian internationals. He was like, it's football. Honestly, nothing surprises me, but that did. And then who was I interviewing? It was someone else. I think it was Anton Ferdinand, and he said a great story of how Carlos, not so much Mascherano, but Carlos really wanted to integrate himself in the team, and I think that comes across as the fact of why I think he got over with the fans a lot more than Mascherano. Yeah. And one day, and they went to a nightclub in London, and Tevez came along with his translator, his interpreter, and his interpreter and him were on a dance floor, and Tevez is really giving it some, proper Argentinian tango type stuff, and the translator's trying to translate what he's saying to Anton and the rest of the team, and then back again, but I can picture that, he was like, apparently Carlos was like sweating because he was dancing so much, and he's brilliant, and obviously he brought back the crossed hammers thing, which it was long gone for many years, playing obviously for United at the time, which is even more ironic, but no, I loved him. I thought he was brilliant. Yeah, it was good. It was good fun, and interviewing some of the other people who were around at the time, from the staff, about the whole Carlos Tevez thing is just, they're just very bizarre thing. But it, as you said, it was one of those weird days where you were the talk of the water cooler, Exactly. So people were slapping me on the back at work. Hey, Carlos Tevez. I was like, again, I did all that. That was all me. Yeah. But but they did look like they'd just been smuggled in, though, didn't they? When there's that picture of them with Pardew, and they're like,
I think everyone's just wondering what the catch is, and how have we ended up here? How have they ended up here? What's happened? But wouldn't change it, would we? Because of the goals that he scored and the impact he had on the team in that. I think it was the 07, at the end of the 07 season.
He was brilliant. And it's funny now because obviously you've got the situation now where where Bournemouth are maybe looking to sue Hawkeye because of that game at the beginning of the restart, and obviously we had all the litigation afterwards because of Carlos, and obviously Sheffield United, and it's just funny how it's all sort of a little bit digging up again because people are using us as a test case, really. So. Yeah, it was still, and there was talk of him coming back at 36. The only club he'd come back to in Europe would be West Ham, and it's like, really? Are you sure? Okay, fair enough. But oh no, one day we might get. I'd love to get him on the pitch. Could you imagine? It'd just be the fans, just go absolutely mental. But anyway, that completes the Monday 11. Very, very good. I like it. Ben, man, thank you so much for your time. It's been really, really fun.
Thank you.
It's been really, really fun chatting. And obviously, thank you, and thanks everyone for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that thing. You know what you're doing. We'll keep the football fix going while we're got no games at London Stadium. And until next time, from me and Ben, take care, stay safe. Come on, you Irons, big games coming up. That's it, Ben. There we go. Putting the crossovers up. And to everyone, see you later. Take safe. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.